Hello and welcome to the Lead Out Loud podcast, another real leadership edition of the show. I am Professor G, and I am joined again today by Mariam, lover of strippers' lays.
We're going to drop that. We're going to lose that.
Wait, what? No, it's great. We're already getting fan mail because of it.
If you don't know the context, you need to go back and watch episode 70-something.
I mean, would you prefer the other nickname we came up with when you answered my door?
No.
Oh, my goodness. All right. I'm excited about today's movie that we are discussing because as I was watching it, well, first of all, Mariam watched it and said, this is my new favorite movie. As I was watching it, I was remembering how great a movie it is. Let me get my description and we'll get right into A Bug's Life. Pixar's second feature film, released on November 25th, 1998. Let's see, was Mariam born? I think she was. Just 3 years after Toy Story. Directed by John Lasseter and co-directed by Andrew Stanton, the film blends comedy, adventure, and surprisingly mature themes, as you are about to hear, about leadership, fear, and organizational culture. And let me finish reading the description, but I have a comment on that. The story follows Flik, an inventive but socially awkward ant who accidentally destroys the annual food offering owed to a gang of grasshoppers led by the intimidating Hopper, voiced by Kevin Spacey. Banished to find warrior bugs to save the colony, Flik instead recruits a struggling troupe of circus performers. What begins as a case of mistaken identity evolves into a story about innovation, confidence, teamwork, and helping an entire community realize the power it already possesses. Mariam, before I get into who does all the voices here, when you texted me that you love this is your new favorite movie, why did you say that?
Oh, well, okay, I would say I texted you during the first half. The one-liners are so well written. And I remember telling Scott, I think I watched this as a kid one time, but it didn't really, I was like, oh, whatever. It didn't capture my attention. And now as an adult, I was like, damn, this is some good writing. Every one-liner was just gold. It was funny. It was... Yeah, I just thought it was well written. And then, the second half turns into a little, can we defeat the grasshoppers? But just the first half, every line was just so witty. And I was like, as an adult, this is a really good film.
I mean, as usual, right? As with many Disney films, you watch it as a kid, you see one thing. And then you watch it as an adult and you realize the themes that were always there, but that you just didn't realize. When I looked up what year it came out, I had to really think about it because, 1998, let me go back. Toy Story was 95. Okay, so I was still in high school when Toy Story came out. A Bug's Life, I was in college. And I don't remember Toy Story being on my radar, but I definitely remember A Bug's Life, and it's in part because of what you just described. So many one-liners. And my roommate, actually, he wasn't even my roommate yet, but the person who would go on to be my roommate, we worked together. We worked together at the bookstore, and so he would just be reciting things from the movie. And so, yeah, I remember A Bug's Life very well, in part because of all the one-liners. And it's a great film, because then a couple of years later, in 2001, Disney opened California Adventure in Southern California, which was, brand new park and themed around elements of California. And A Bug's Life was one of their feature attractions, a very immersive experience where you're like climbing down to the theater and everything's getting bigger and bigger as if you're becoming an ant.
That is really cool.
Oh, yeah. And then it's a whole little vignette of the movie, but it's interactive. You're sitting in these seats, and like bugs are crawling behind you, and there's a stink bug scene. Anyway, so A Bug's Life played I think that's one of the larger Pixar films in the franchise, and I think probably their best, in my opinion anyway. And of course, helping to make it awesome, you have Dave Foley as the voice of Flik, Kevin Spacey, as I mentioned, the voice of Hopper, Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Princess Atta. I know her from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and Seinfeld, but I would imagine younger listeners probably know her from Veep. Dennis Leary as Francis, David Hyde Pierce from Frasier as Slim, Richard Kind, which you might not know the name, but when you see his face, he's been in a ton of stuff as Molt. And of course, John Ratzenberger as P.T. Flea. John Ratzenberger, of course, has become the Easter egg actor for the Pixar films. He's been in every single one
the
with
voice
some
actor.
kind of a part. Yeah. It was a successful movie, $363 million worldwide, with a budget of $120 million. So, I mean, yeah, that's good movie making right there. Let's jump in. I mean, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. So
why don't we go chronologically?
I guess we'll start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
With some of the greatest one-liners and the greatest scenes of the film. So the movie opens, if you've never seen it, or if it's been a minute, the movie opens with ants carrying food. They're carrying these kernels of food across a line of ants, and they're tossing them up on this pile of food that we subsequently find out is their offering for the grasshoppers. As we're watching this scene unfold, this leaf comes floating down from the sky and lands right in the center of the line of ants. And so you see this ant, and he's looking up at the leaf, and he's scared. His legs are shaking, and as soon as the leaf lands, he goes, "I'm lost!" And because he can't see the line, right? And so here comes, running down the hill, here comes this other ant, waving his hands, "Do not panic! Do not panic! This is nothing compared to the twig of 93, which in and of itself is a hilarious line, right? And he comes down and he says, "Watch my eyes, don't look away." And he's leading the ant. He goes, "We're going around the leaf." They go around the leaf, and he says, "There you go, and here's the line again." And the ants go, "Oh my God, thank you, Mr. Soil." His name is Mr. Soil. "Thank you, Mr. Soil." I mean, right there.
That was... I mean, I feel we could do a whole podcast on that alone, which, another time. But yeah, I loved that it opened with that scene, and I thought, oh, this is why Sean loves this movie. And then the twig of 93 made its appearance, and I was like, oh, yep, here's Sean's infamous line that he likes to use. "This is nothing compared to the twig of 93. I thought it was so funny. Yeah, it was, we've all been part of, or I think a lot of us have been a part of a team where there's that one person who needs step-by-step directions of what they're going to do next, and you wonder, how did they get themselves dressed in the morning? Because without my help, they'd be hopeless. And so to see the ant, it was literally just the leaf fell in front of him, and all of a sudden, because there was a tiny gap between him and the person in front of him, he didn't know what to do. He just stopped. He panicked. He froze. And it took someone else to tell him, you just walk around the leaf. And then as soon as he got that information, he's like, oh yeah, of course. Walked around. It was just, I don't know, it was just so funny to me. I was like, oh my God, there's so many lessons here, and just, it's so parallel to real life.
So I believe the term is scotoma. We could probably Google it here while we're talking, but a scotoma is when you have, it's like you've got something in your eye that causes you to not be able to see. Mm-hmm. So you can't see what's clearly in front of you. And my buddy Dave spoke to one of my classes a couple of years ago and used that description, and it stuck so much with one of the students that the student emailed me a year later and said, "Hey, what was that thing that your friend Dave talked about with the eye?" But I mean, that's what's happening here, and it's such a great. I guess it would be a metaphor, maybe analogy. I don't know. I get confused with the different parts of speech there, but
it's a representation, a great representation.
A representation. That's fantastic. Mr. Soil is like the stereotypical manager. He's got everybody's waiting for the manager to have the answers. Mm-hmm. The ants have created this culture that forces them to rely on the royalty, okay, right? Because you have the queen, and then you have Princess Atta, which we'll get to, and now you have Mr. Soil, who's like, okay, we had to call in an expert to get us around the leaf.
We had to have a meeting about how to solve this problem.
Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna, we hear in this subsequent scene where the princess is talking about, hey, we don't have a choice. This is how we always do it, right? The ants gather the food, the grasshoppers come and steal the food, and then they leave, and then we go and do our thing. So that's all kind of wrapped up and represented in this, okay, every ant's just going to follow the ant in front of them. No thinking for yourself, right? And look at the burden that it places on the community. You got a little leaf that just falls in front of them, and you got to call somebody in to go fix it because nobody can think for themselves. Those two lines that you mentioned, yes, I use them all the time. First of all, do not panic. It's kind of funny. When I'm giving a driving lesson to a first-time driver, their first lesson, and we're going through the controls in the car that we've got, one of the cars, actually all the cars do this. If you tap the turn signal, it flashes 3 times and then it stops. Mm-hmm. So I make sure I let them know, hey, by the way, in this car, you tap it, it's going to flash. I'm not going to ask you to do that. I want you to go all the way down until it clicks. But as we're driving around today, you might do, say, a lane change, and we have to manually cancel that signal, and you might accidentally go a little bit too far. It's going to flash 3 times, and then it's going to stop, and then I say, do not panic. I'm not sure that I realized I was saying it because of this movie, but that's where I got it from. It's that phrase, do not panic. And then the other one, this is nothing compared to the Twig of 93. I've told you this story before, but when I was working in a classified area at Lockheed Martin, people were freaking out. They were just like the ants, right? Mm-hmm. They were freaking out about silly, stupid stuff and not focusing on the big problems. And so one of my coworkers, Nicole, we're talking about stuff one day, and we had never talked about A Bug's Life, but she just goes, God, this is nothing compared to the Twig of 93.
You were instant best friends.
We were instant best friends. And as I recall, I think she came into my office a couple years later, and underneath my keyboard with a whiteboard marker, she had drawn a picture of a twig. Which was great because I didn't find it for days later.
Yes.
Okay, so great right off the bat. Great opening sequence. A couple of great lessons just in the first. We're not even 5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, literally. This is like within the first 2 minutes of the movie. You haven't met any other characters. You've just met this one ant who panics.
Now, the other thing that we see as this scene is unfolding is Flik. He's got this. So all these ants. There's a process, right? All these ants, you see them, some of them are climbed up into the tall stalks of whatever these things are, and they're pulling the seeds out and dropping them down, and another ant catches it, and then they start walking and they get in line. But then you've got Flik, and Flik is off with this contraption on his back, and he's walking forward, and it's cutting the stalks of weeds or wheat or whatever it is, and it falls down, and then it strips the seed out and dumps it in. So basically he's created this automated little combine to go and make their lives easier. So we find out Flik he's an ant after our own hearts, Mariam. But he lacks some self-awareness, maybe some attention to detail. So his machine's doing all the things, but then when it's done, it flicks the pun intended. It flicks the empty now stalk of wheat away, and it goes and it lands on Princess Atta or the Queen, one of the two, I can't remember. So he's created this machine to make things better, and it's clearly more efficient, but he's also wreaking a little bit of havoc in the meantime.
Right, as he does.
as perhaps we do sometimes. And this is not something that's tolerated by the colony. They
Right.
just, oh, it's Flik. So he's got, I wrote down, he's got good intentions, but does he have low emotional intelligence?
Well, he didn't talk about emotional intelligence, so maybe he has really high emotional intelligence.
That's a throwback to our previous episode, for those of you that didn't listen or watch. Actually, it was probably 2 episodes ago by now.
Does he have low emotional intelligence, or is he... Yeah, I guess this would tie to emotional intelligence. He's like, I wrote down delusional, optimistically delusional, right? He is in his own fantasy world. He is like, and it's not that his world cannot come true. I guess he's in his own fantasy world in that he believes people see things the way he sees things, and he doesn't understand that there is a gap there. And that comes into play like after the trial when he's leaving and the commentary that's made, excuse me, by the colony. He thinks people are like behind him and are in agreement with him, or like I said, seeing what he's seeing, but he's not actually seeing their point of view and how disruptive he is to their life.
Yes, which I think is you just described a low EQ person.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you answered my question for me.
Yes.
Yeah, by definition, he doesn't see those things. He doesn't see how he's perceived by others, so I wrote down, this is not a political podcast, okay, but I couldn't help but see a couple of parallels here. One to some relatively current events, but his departure, so let's fast forward just a little bit. He causes, so the grasshoppers come in the midst of this scene, and everybody runs to get inside the anthill. And what's supposed to happen is the grasshoppers come, they see the offering of food for them, they take it, and they go off, and we won't see them again for another season. But what actually happens is that Flik, in his haste to go and hide, inadvertently sabotages the food. Like he knocks his little contraption falls and it knocks the stone out, and now all the food falls into the pond and is gone.
There's no offering.
So now there's a confrontation, which we'll come back to that here in a second. But that leads to now, Flik he's brought up on some kind of tribunal. Basically, they're like, what do you have to say for yourself, Flik? Because they have to start from scratch. This is a big deal. And Flik says, oh, I know. I'll go find some bigger bugs and bring them back, because, grasshoppers have enemies too. So if we can just go befriend, I mean, it's really a brilliant strategy. It's kind of like, it's like the United States. Hey, you know what? We're going to go be friends with France because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So he's going to go do that. They're like, oh, this is a great opportunity to get rid of Flik. He's going to be out of our way. As he's leaving, he crests the hill and he hears all this applause. And he's like, wow, he's inspired. He's like, oh, they're cheering me on. No. They were applauding. They were excited because he was leaving and they had finally rid themselves of him. And I immediately thought to the interview that occurred after a NASCAR race where the crowd is shouting F Joe Biden because it's NASCAR. The reporter is interviewing the winner of the race named Brandon, and she goes, listen to that. They're shouting, let's go, Brandon.
No. Oh, no.
And I was like, yes, okay, that's Flik.
That's what was happening,
right?
Yeah.
They're basically cursing him, but he hears it as cheers of go Flik.
Right.
Because yeah, he is a little bit delusional. We've done a couple of movies now where we see some delusion. This whole film, this is the Three Amigos. I don't think you were with us for the Three Amigos. Hopefully you listened. Hopefully you've seen the movie. But the plot of the Three Amigos is the same thing. They are actors, and you have the people of Santa Poco are being harassed and ravaged by this gang, and so one of the women from the village sees a movie clip of the Three Amigos fighting these bad guys, and she's like, "Well, I'm going to get them to come and save us." And of course, hilarity ensues. Tropic Thunder was sort of the same thing, right? You've got this group of actors that they think they're making a movie, but actually they're in a real jungle with a real enemy with real bullets. So there's definitely a theme of delusion that is presenting itself here. Michael Scott, I wrote that down. Flik is Michael Scott. Is he not?
But Michael Scott's ideas aren't as good as Flik's.
So Flik's better than Michael Scott.
Flik is better than Michael Scott. Flik is not. I guess the delusion and EQ. Yes, Flik and Michael Scott are identical. Yes, in that respect. But I will say Flik is more competent. He's not completely.
Okay.
Yeah, at least his ideas are relevant to the task at hand. Whereas Michael Scott's like an ADHD squirrel, and you're like, what is happening? He's just disruptive for the sake of being disruptive for attention.
Well, that's okay. That's a great observation, because I wrote down for Flik, strategist or dreamer. Because what I appreciate about Flik, he had a good eye for strategy. Like he's thinking ahead. He's always thinking ahead and trying to solve problems. He like a lot of I guess inventors, he lacks a little bit of that EQ to realize that some of the stuff he does is creating havoc. Michael Scott, I think, was not a good strategist. He was just a dreamer. Right, yes. And did things that he read or heard, or he was after the result, never after the work. Yeah. We're going to do an episode of The Office here probably next. So we don't need to get too deep into Michael Scott, but here's Flik, where he's okay doing the work. He's just a little sloppy with it, I guess, is a way to look at it.
Before we move on too far, I wanted to bring something up that actually I hadn't written down, but it occurred to me as we were talking. The reason the ants have been so successful up to this point is because they have a very clear goal and a very clear process of how to reach that goal, right? So, you talked about a little bit where because there's a disruption with the leaf, all of a sudden there's kind of this breakdown of oh no, how do I get my offering up to where I need to get it? But when you step back, the organizational structure, the process by which you get all the kernels of seeds to the leaf is so clear that every worker ant knows their place, they know what they should be doing, and they're able to execute it year after year after year. Which, like a lot of big companies, so with startups, they usually don't have the process, and they need a Mr. Soil, who's a CEO, to come in, right, and tell the ants, this is what you need to do. Or they need the queen ant to tell them what to do. Mr. Soil is what you see in really big organizations, something that's reached like a corporate structure, and you have a bajillion levels within the hierarchy, where they have all these processes in place, but they still need somebody to direct if there's a problem, to manage the people, but manage the ants, and if there's a problem, resolve that problem so that we can all reach our common goal. When it gets to that size, there's more friction, especially when you're a Flik and trying to get your invention across, right? And trying to get people to buy in, because And this is where EQ is really important, and not just EQ, but also leadership skills, which we'll talk more in depth about, I guess, as we go along. But if you can't convince people that something needs to change because there's not a problem, right? They don't see the problem. Or they've been successful for so long, they're like, why do we need to change it? I don't know. I just really saw that, like, that kind of occurred to me, like, oh, this is interesting. You really see that, oh, this has always worked. Why would we change it? Why would we disrupt it? It becomes more difficult to sell your idea, even if objectively maybe your idea or invention is a great one.
That's exactly right, and that's why this is it's just so great. Yeah, they've got a process that has worked, and that's great. Look, processes are good. Where we run into trouble is their processes are so rigid and their beliefs are so rigid that there's no room for any deviation. If something goes wrong, like with the ants, the worker bees, that leaf falls down, that's something different. That's a change. They can't handle it because all they know how to do.
That's not a process problem. That's a culture problem.
I'm going to argue, though, that the two go hand in hand because their culture, so culture is just behaviors.
Right.
And choices. So their behaviors and choice, Princess Atta actually says, we don't have a choice. This is how we have to do it. We don't have a choice. No. They have chosen to not have a choice. They have chosen to not do anything differently. The settlers to America had a choice. They could have said, yeah, you know what, this sucks, we're paying all these taxes and we got to give it to the king and we're not represented and he gets to do whatever he wants, and oh well, I guess we don't have a choice. Yeah, they did. Now, it was a rough choice, led to a war, okay, but then it also led to independence. These guys are like, oh, no, we don't have a choice. They didn't want to go do the hard things that would be required to make the change. The rigidity of their beliefs and their structure became, it was a strength because of the process. When it works, it worked great. Right. But it was also a weakness when there was anything that deviated. And look, this is why I hired you at Lockheed Martin. This was the whole problem. Okay, so I used to hear this all the time. Lockheed Martin, the Skunk Works, advanced development, they've been doing it for almost 100 years. This is how we build new stuff. This is how we do it. The problem they ran into is they'd get one contract to go, okay, hey, we need a new fighter jet. Okay, they would go develop a new fighter jet. All of a sudden, they were in an environment where they won all these contracts to build all these new things all at once, and they didn't have the infrastructure and the resources. They were going to have to do something different, but they didn't know how. Like, no, this is how we do it. We load the entire bill of materials into Microsoft Project, and we track when the parts are going to get here. It's like, okay, well, that might have worked 20, 30 years ago when things were a little bit simpler. You only had one to deal with. You had all the people here to do it. Now we don't have the resources for that. And everything's more complicated. And they couldn't adapt. So we had to hire Mariam. And that's what we keep talking about with, our target market for Headroom Advisors. We want those people that, look, this is how we've been doing it. Yeah, and you've been successful and it's great. But now things have changed and the way you've been doing it can't handle it anymore. Something's got to give. Either you as the owner or the founder are going to spend every waking and unwaking moment here at your business trying to keep the lights on and keep things moving forward, or you're going to have to do some other things differently. You should hire us. This episode is sponsored by Headroom Advisors. Did I say that already?
No, but that was a good plug.
Thank you. Okay. The second big scene, I kind of glossed over it. The
trial?
No, well, before that.
Wait, with the grasshoppers.
The grasshoppers arrive, everybody goes and hides, and of course, the grasshoppers are supposed to take the food and go. but there's no food because Flik just knocked it over.
Mm-hmm.
So they come down into the anthill, and Hopper is their leader, and he's looking for the queen. And of course, Princess Atta, she's going to be taking over. She's the next queen, so she's in training. So she's answering the questions. And the first thing, Hopper's going, "Where is the food?" And Princess Atta says, "Oh, isn't it up there?" And he goes, "Are you saying I'm stupid? Do I look stupid to you? If the food was up there, why would I be down here at your level?" It's great. The way he delivers the line is fantastic. And then he realizes, wait a minute, you're not the queen. She's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to be the queen. I'm in training." And he goes, "Oh, under new management."
Yes. It's so good.
But again, she's being trained to just do what's always been done. She has no idea what to do now. She even turns to her mom, the queen, and says, "The food's not there. What do we do?" And she goes, "I don't know."
Right. They've never encountered this problem.
They've never encountered this problem. They've never had to problem solve like this before. Do I look stupid to you? Okay. I mean, we could unpack a little bit more of Hopper now, or we could wait until we get to the next part of the story, I guess.
Let's see. So Hopper,
So
he uses, yeah.
I was just going to say, and he's got his brother is Molt. Okay,
Yes.
so there's Hopper and Molt. There's probably a little bit of dynamic there. Go ahead.
We need to mention also Dot. We didn't mention Dot. So Dot is the little, like the baby ant. I guess she is Princess Atta's sister.
Yes.
So Dot is a princess, I guess, as well. And the queen is their mother. I just want to mention her because if we can revisit Flik real quick and his invention. When he had his little invention, Dot was the only one that believed in Flik and is sort of like his champion throughout the whole movie because she always believes in him and pushes him to basically, no, like keep trying to make your idea. No, this is a good idea. Keep going. So it's relevant because Hopper, I guess, ends up threatening the whole colony with poor baby Dot. But as the grasshoppers are flying in, Princess Atta, because she's still in training, she's not a good leader at all, right? She panics equally with the ants and like doesn't know. She's like, "Oh God, take cover, get inside. Like, what are we gonna do?" Yes. And the queen has to step up and say, because the queen has so much experience, or I don't know, she's a better leader at this point. She's very quickly keep calm, everyone get inside. She's able to direct the colony very quickly and calms everybody down, and they're able to execute and get underground before the grasshoppers arrive. So I had written on my notes, I wanted to visit it very quickly. And then when the Hopper comes, he is very obviously a bully. He's a bully. And one of his quotes was literally, first rule of leadership, everything is your fault. That he says to Princess Atta.
Yes.
So he is blaming the manager at that point, right?
Yeah.
For basically
whoever's in the position.
Yeah. Oh, change of management. Okay. Well, everything is your fault. So even if you don't know what went wrong, and actually there's kind of a lesson there too, as a manager, everything kind of is your fault. If you're not able to get your team to execute, leadership is not going to go hunting for the team, for your direct reports. No, it's your head that's on the chopping block, right? Like you're the one that's going to be held accountable for the result. For better or for worse.
That's a better word. Accountability is a better word, because fault implies that there was some causation, which there may not have been, right? In this case, hey, she just came into the organization. Are the deficiencies her fault? No. Is she accountable for them? Yes.
Yes, right, right. Yep, you're right. Accountability. I just thought it was interesting. So it's like, oh, Hopper is a bully, but he's not a dummy.
No. No. In fact, he's not a dummy because he knows there's a conversation, there's an interaction that occurs between Hopper and Molt. Okay, so Molt, his brother, first of all, we find out Molt talks a lot. He talks too much, right? He's just excitable and he's just like, oh yeah, hey, great. He just talks too much. And he's a chameleon too. So Hopper's the older brother, Molt is the younger brother, and he shapeshifts to whatever Molt wants or whoever is around him. And so Molt, the grasshoppers leave, and they go, and they're just living it up at like a resort, right? They've got everything they need. They've got all this, they got way more food than they'll need for the winter. And they're all having a great time, and they're going, oh man, it sucks. Why do we have to go back to Ant Island? We're having so much fun here. And so they're talking to Molt, and they're going, hey, why don't we just stay here? We got plenty of food. So Molt goes, yeah, that's a great idea, but, Hopper will never go for it. And they go, oh, no, you should go tell him. You're like the vice president.
Right.
It's like, oh, yeah, I'm the vice president. So now Molt goes to Hopper and says, hey, so listen, as the vice president, I think we got plenty of food. We should just stay here. And so Hopper's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Everyone settle in. We're just going to stay here. And then he goes, wait a minute, though. There was that one ant that stood up to me. Those ants outnumber us. And I forget the number, it's like 100-1, right? If they ever figure that out, we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's up. He understands the reason he's such a bully and he comes off so strong. He's got to keep them in their place, because if they start thinking for themselves, they're going to realize, wait a minute. We don't have to take this. We don't have to take this from the King of England. We're going to declare our independence.
Yep.
And then Molt says, I'm sorry, they talked fancy. I got confused.
Yeah.
Just
He's
another
so
great
suggestible.
line.
He's
Yes.
like, oh my gosh. Yeah, Molt, bless.
He is the stereotypical number 2. Just like walking around next to the bully, right? Whatever he says. Yeah.
Yes, man. He's a
the
yes
guy,
man.
Yes, he's the guy that walks up, next to him. And when the bully goes, I'm going to kick your ass, he goes, yeah. Okay.
I thought, actually, I had a lot of respect for Hop's leadership in that moment, because something he did really well was he demonstrated the threat of the ants using visuals.
Oh, yes.
With the seeds, right? So they have this like dispenser for the seeds for them for the grasshoppers to feed off of, and you can just take one at a time. So
it's like a Pez dispenser.
Yeah, and so when the underlings say, well, what's the big deal? If it's just one ant, they're puny. You're they're nothing compared to you. He says, oh, just one ant, huh? So he lets one seed kind of, go out, and it hits a guy. He's like, oh, one seed, one ant.
Does that hurt?
Big deal, right?
No, what are you, that's ridiculous. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, and then what he does is he just opens the chute, and the seeds come flooding out, demonstrating his point of 100. They outnumber the grasshoppers 100-1, and at this point, the naysayers are buried in seeds, and they get it. And I thought that was a really good way to demonstrate your point. Like truly, like it was because then they're having awesome. A visceral reaction to it, like, oh my god, this could happen to us, we could actually physically be overrun. And then they're back on board with their leaders direction. So even if you think for a second he might lose the grasshoppers, he actually doesn't. He's a really strong, speaker or maybe just a strong leader. Even though he is a bully, he was really great in that moment, and he got everybody to agree with him fairly quickly.
I'm glad you brought that up. I actually did write it down, that it was a great demonstration of strength in numbers, but you phrased it better. It was really a great way for him to illustrate his point and get everybody back on board. Because now they realize, oh, that's why we can't just stay here. So let's advance the story a little bit. We got a little bit out of order, but that's okay.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Because no, it's fine. But we do need to go. So simultaneous, or just before all of this is occurring, Flik he makes it to the big city, and he finds these tough bugs. Of course, the tough bugs are really just circus bugs. So there's this circus scene playing out, and you've got all these different types of bugs, and they're doing these circus tricks, and they're about to do this final trick, and it goes horribly wrong. So first of all, the audience, they're losing the audience, and so the leader, P.T. Flea, that's the John Ratzenberger voice, he realizes he's losing the audience and people are asking for their money back, and so he's like, okay, and he comes in and he goes, but there's one more trick. We're going to, this person's going to get shot out of a cannon through a ring of fire against this, whatever the speech is. He whoops it all up. So it's just a series of unfortunate mistakes, okay? Because
I cackled out loud, okay? My husband looked at me and he was like, "Are you unwell?" Because I was laughing so hard at the scene. If you do nothing else, just go watch the scene on YouTube or something, because it's so funny. The way I don't know, Pixar, well done.
Okay, so there's fly paper, okay? There's this wall of fly paper. The fly paper is doused in lighter fluid. And then there's a string of unlit matches that are leading up to the fly paper with the lighter fluid on it. And what's supposed to happen is somebody is going to light the first match, and the matches are going to start burning towards the fly paper. Meanwhile, the spider is supposed to
weave a web.
Spin a web of safety.
Yeah, right.
That will stop the person who's in the little cannon. So they're going to launch I think it's the two little guys. I forget their names now. But they're little roly-poly bugs.
Yeah.
Tuck and roll. So Tuck and Roll are supposed to fly through the air, but get stopped by the web of safety that the spider spins real quick.
Before they hit the fly paper.
And then, the fly paper goes up in smoke. Unfortunately, there is a miscommunication, and now I can't remember how it starts.
Oh, and they do it all blindfolded.
Yeah, and then they're going to do it all blindfolded.
Everyone, so the spider's blindfolded. Everyone's blindfolded, right? And so now the audience is like, all right, here we go. Lives at stake.
So the matches get lit prematurely. The spider, she starts spinning the web. But then somebody shouts "go," it's interpreted as "go," and so now PT Fly is the one that gets launched and ends up. Now he's stuck on the fly paper as the matches are flowing towards it,
and nobody knows because they're all blindfolded.
And nobody knows because they're all blindfolded. He gets himself unstuck just in time, but now the people that were holding the fly paper have let go, and the fly paper comes and lands on him, and basically he gets burned. You
can't even describe it. It sounds so not funny, but to watch it is very funny.
It is, though. I mean, how many times? Like, you just go, oh, okay, could anything else go wrong today? That was this scene. And so now all the bugs are like, they're upset.
Well, because PT Fly fires them, basically.
Right.
He's like, you guys are incompetent.
It didn't go well.
Right.
They caught him on fire. He fires them. They're in the bar. And let's see, something happened. Like, there's an altercation, right? And so,
well, because one of the audience members was like whistling at the ladybug, who is actually a male. And so there was an altercation during the circus performance. And then when they're at the bar, the flies revisit the ladybug, whose name is Francis, and he's a male. So he's trying to stick up for himself, and they're trying to hit on him. I mean, but also then they want to beat him up.
And not just a male, but that's the Dennis Leary character, which is just hilarious. So, okay, yes. So this is now enter Flik. and all Flik sees is these bugs. They're basically going through one of their routines to try to thwart the I think were they flies?
They were flies. Yeah, they're like house flies.
The flies. So they're trying to get the flies away from the ladybug. All Flik sees is warrior bugs. And of course, the crowd, though, comes in, and he doesn't actually see how things really unfold. He just hears them talking a big game, and he's like, oh, wow, wait, I want to see what happens. And, it all works out to the point where now he can go and just say, hey, I have a job for you guys.
Right.
And they think it's a job. They're like, well, we just got fired from one circus. Great. Let's go join this other one.
Because he says, I'm scouting for some warrior bugs. And they think, oh, it's a talent scout. Perfect. So this is the beginning of a very long, misunderstanding. It's not even miscommunication. It's just misunderstanding. They're like talking past each other for a very long time. Where the circus people think that they've been scouted by a talent scout, and Flik thinks he's found the warrior team that's going to defeat the grasshoppers.
Yeah. So he brings him back. He brings him back to Ant Island.
Colony. Mm-hmm.
And everybody is shocked. Like, wait, Flik actually found warrior bugs? And so they're very impressed. Until what was the tell? How did Flik figures it out first?
Well, they're having like a private. The ladybug gets hurt, something with his leg, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't remember now how they figured it out. But he figures out that they were talking past each other.
Yeah. He figures it out. I'm reading my notes here. That's right. PT's going to come in and spoil it for the rest of them. So Flik figures it out, keeps it from the rest of them, because don't they do like a performance or something for them first, and Flik. So Flik realizes the mistake he's made, but then he also realizes that, wait a minute, Hopper is afraid of birds. So they concoct this plan to create a fake bird and get it in a perch so that when Hopper comes back, they're going to launch the bird and it's going to scare the grasshoppers away. So they're all like, yeah, okay, great, let's do it. But then when Hopper comes back, they release the bird. Simultaneous to this, PT Flea has come looking for his circus characters, right? The people that he fired, because it turns out that whole routine that went horribly wrong was really popular and everybody's talking about it. And he says, this is going to be great. I want you guys to come back. You can light me on fire twice a night. I'll take a day off to recover and then we'll do it again. And they're like, you're going to ruin this, right? He's in there talking about the circus. They don't want him to spill the beans, so they like confine him into his trailer while they're going out to fight this battle with the grasshoppers. Well, the bird ends up knocking his trailer over. He gets free. He sees these grasshoppers, but he also sees the bird coming in, and he thinks the bird is going to attack all of the insects. So he sets the bird on fire.
The fake bird.
But it's a fake bird, and inside are all the blueberries, which are like the Girl Scouts.
Ants.
Yeah, the little Girl Scout ants. And so they're like, oh my gosh, Flik, save us, save us, save us. So now the jig is up, right? Hopper realizes, wait, this bird is fake. And I wrote, PT helps. Salvaging his own plan, or salvaging his own interests. I mean, that's kind of like, you can't blame PT. He's in it for himself, and so he's trying to put his business back together, and he acts upon what he believes is a threat. But of course, that is not great for the rest of the group.
PT, I want to talk about PT because I thought there was it was a great demonstration of being a strong manager, but not a strong leader. Or no, I'm sorry, I don't even know if he's a strong leader. I don't think he's a good leader because he could not see the talent he had. So he was managing the show and trying to get everybody to go, he was worried about the show and keeping people's attention, and he would send, okay, you go out next, okay, we're going to do this little number next. But when things went wrong and he was burnt to a crisp on the flypaper, his immediate reaction was to fire his entire circus crew or team. I don't know what they're called. Talent, but they were talented. The troupe, thank you, the circus troupe, but they actually were talented. So that's, I mean, the thing I appreciated about this movie is that there was not, beyond Molt, there weren't any just dumb characters or incompetent characters. Everybody was really good at what they did.
Yes.
And I really appreciated that because it's really easy to write in. Yeah, it's easy to write like a Molt, right? A silly character like that. But I think it's so much more interesting to see the dynamics play out when you have people who are competent and good at what they do, and then how they relate to each other, how they problem solve. I really like that about the film. But I thought P.T. Flik, he was a good manager. He was not a good leader. Did not recognize the talent he had until way later. Right? When he said, oh, wait, actually, this was successful. Oh, I need to go back and get my troop.
So he is just like the ants. Right? This is how we do it. This is what good looks like. And then any little deviation, and we're lost.
Yeah.
He's the same thing. He's the same way. Hey, this is how we do the circus. You guys are going to do this, 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 and then that's it. It goes horribly wrong. Now, he doesn't say, we're lost. He fires everybody. Right. Because to your point, he doesn't know how to handle deviation. In his defense, he got set on fire. So,
right. It's a fair response.
I don't blame him. And he comes to his senses, right? So he is savvy enough, and he has enough emotional intelligence to realize, wait a minute, yeah, I've got third-degree burns over all my body, but these guys are all talking about how great of a show that was. I could make money off of this, and now he's trying to get the team back together. But in doing so, he ends up sabotaging Flik's plan. Which, okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, here, poor Flik, he has these ideas. As I said before, he's a good strategist. This was a good idea.
Right.
It encountered some bumps in the road. It didn't go exactly as planned. Are we seeing a theme here, right? He's an ant. That's the culture that he comes from. Something doesn't go right. They seem to have trouble adapting and overcoming. And Flik's go-to response is always, "Oh, that's it. I'm done. This was a stupid idea. I shouldn't have." In fact, I think, is that what he says? Flik, I can't read my notes. Took a stand, sent. Oh no, that's the Queen. Sorry. I can't read my notes now, but so I forget what he says. But I know he loses confidence. Right? He loses his confidence, but then he gets it back later because ultimately he leads Hopper over to where the actual bird is that was the inspiration. Because they had found, we skipped a couple of things here that are probably worth talking about. Earlier on, Dot falls. Because Hopper, did he throw her or he dropped her? I guess he dropped her.
No, so I think Dot, so at some point it's discovered that this is just a circus troupe, they aren't real warriors. And so then the colony basically, so they decide to go back with P.T. Flik, and Princess Atta basically excommunicates Felix, so he's with them. But Dot I believe Dot is basically
You mean
doesn't
Flik.
want Felix. A Flik. What am I saying? Sorry. So Flik goes with the circus troupe, but Dot, I think, then the grasshopper comes back. He's gonna kill the queen, and Dot overhears this because the grasshoppers come and there's no offering, right? Because they were
Right.
gonna do their bird plan. They didn't do the bird plan. So they round up all the ants. Dot overhears that they're going to kill the queen. So Dot goes after Felix.
Flik.
Flik. Mariam.
Okay, but wait, that's later. That's later. Earlier on, Dot. I'm talking about when Dot falls. She gets saved by the ladybug. That's how he hurts himself, I think.
Oh, the first time they find the bird's nest with
Yes.
the eggs. Okay, but there's still eggs. Right.
And so Francis, so Dot falls. The ladybug. This is how Flik keeps up the appearance that they really are warrior bugs.
Yes, that's right.
Because
Because
Dot
they
falls,
successfully saved Dot.
and so they know that they're circus bugs, obviously, because they're the ones. And they're like, wait, okay, what's happening? But then they spring into action, and they actually do come together and demonstrate some heroism, because Dot's falling, the ladybug grabs her, and they're flying away. But now they've attracted the attention of the bird, and so the bird's after them. So now Heimlich, the caterpillar, is trying to distract the bird. The bird's like, ooh, I'm going to go over there, because Francis and Dot they're down
in like a crevice.
In a crevice, yeah. And so it's the whole circus troupe now ends up accidentally demonstrating real bravery.
Mm-hmm.
I swear, it's just like, in Tropic Thunder, where they don't realize the bullets are real, but then they come out of it. So the same kind of thing's happening here. And I wrote down, it was there's a theme of metamorphosis throughout the movie. Okay, you have a literal caterpillar that's just eating and eating and eating, that's going to turn into a butterfly at the end of the film. But at the same time, you have all these characters that are transforming internally, because now here's this group of circus performers that actually did save Dot and some of the ants, and they end up inside this thorny bush. And so I'm like, okay, whew, we made it. That's what gives Flik the inspiration, both for creating the fake bird, but then also, once that goes to hell, he remembers, oh wait, there's a bird over there, and he ends up leading Hopper over there, and Hopper's like, oh, is this another one of your tricks? And of course it's not. It's the actual bird actually eating Hopper.
Feeding it to its young.
Which then I thought about when we talked about this the other day, and your husband said, oh, I don't know if Lily could watch this movie. She might be scared. And I'm like, scared? It's a Bug's Life. And then I saw that scene, and I was like, okay, if she was going to get scared, this would be the scene.
I know. The grasshoppers are a little... When they come at night and you see their faces just glow, like, it's kind of menacing. It is a little bit spooky. Not scary, it's spooky.
So, all right, we've kind of bounced around in the plot a little bit here. I want to go back to the Queen. After PT reveals their identity, and now everybody realizes, okay, these are not real warrior bugs. Yes, Flik goes off with them. PT, of course, is motivated by money. He doesn't care. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care what makes these people happy. He doesn't care what's going to save the ant farm. Like, let's go. Let's get the circus back on the road. Get the show on the road. So now the Queen, all of a sudden the Queen is back. She's like, oh, yeah, okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do what we do every year. Let's go get more food, right? And I wrote down, in one sense, this is understandable, because that's what she knows. That's what she knows how to do. Which, even if, as I say it right now, I got to remember that when I'm dealing with those people that are, no, this is how we're going to do it. Like, God, that's so stupid, right? It hasn't been working, and you want to keep doing the same thing.
Well, she also, like, to her credit, she took the risk of doing the different thing, which was trusting Flik doing his bird idea. She took the risk of trying the innovative idea. They didn't see it all the way through to the end. And she reverts back to what she knows has worked and kept the colony alive for, years and years.
Well, here's my problem with her. Yes, it's understandable. Okay, she kind of does a good thing, but she takes a stand. She's weighing in. Okay, right. I gotta go, and she sends Flik and the bugs away. But then she doesn't have a plan.
Her plan is to do what they've always done.
Yeah, she doesn't know what to do. So now, now we're in this. Okay, yeah. Dot overhears. Oh wow. Okay, so they're gonna crush my mom as soon as they get all the food, because now the grasshoppers are micromanaging. They're like, okay, we're gonna supervise, and so Dot flies for help. Dot goes and gets Flik to come back. I wrote down that Hopper said, I think this was after he discovered their plan with the fake bird. He says, ideas are dangerous. You are here to serve us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how the ants have behaved the entire time. They kind of, that's why they don't like Flik. Flik's got all these ideas, and they believe that ideas are dangerous. And, I mean, they kind of have proven to be, because Flik doesn't always have the best follow-through. Do we want to talk about the blueberries?
Yeah, we can. What did you write down about the blueberries? So the blueberries is a Girl Scout troop of ants that Dot is a part of.
Yeah, so they're the ones that are inside the bird, flapping the wings, right? Mm-hmm. They're steering the fake bird. And then when the grasshoppers are, figuring stuff out, they go hide in their fort. Okay, so they hunker down. They're the ones that overhear what the real plan is. They're the ones that go and get help. They bring Flik and the bugs back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones that really display. We talked in the last one about bravery versus leadership.
Yeah.
I think they kind of display both of those things, because yeah, they're doing brave things. They're doing hard things that are dangerous, and they're doing them anyway. But it's also their idea. Like, mm-hmm. They take the initiative, and that's the difference. What was that? Independence Day, right?
Dot was probably the leader.
For sure.
And then
she's royalty.
And then the rest of them were, exhibiting bravery by I am so sorry.
Are you back? You're back.
Yeah, I got a phone call.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay. Yeah. No.
Did it start a new session, or is it okay?
No. We're good. We're good.
It started a new session for me. Okay.
Nobody will even notice, except that we just said it. So now they're gonna know.
Well, we can cut it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of work.
The blueberries. Yeah. I don't know. There's not much else for me to. I like what you have to say. Okay, you know what I'm really curious about is your take on why the circus troupe. Why is the circus troupe able to be creative and innovative versus, like, in their problem solving, right? They're quick to want to solve problems. And they're always thinking on their feet of what to do to get out of the situation they're in. And they work together really well as a group. Whereas the ants are very, they don't do that, right? We just kind of talked about how the process doesn't allow for deviation, but they don't think outside the box. They're very self-centered in that, this is my job, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go execute on that.
And your question is, why are they able to adapt?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think the difference is? Yeah, what do you think the differences are that allow one group to operate this way versus the other?
Well, the simplest explanation is it was in the script. I think part of it is if you look at the circus troupe, they're not all the same. You have the ladybug, you have the walking stick, you have the spider,
Praying mantis,
the praying
the butterfly.
mantis. So you've got all these different bugs, and they all have different talents. That is not something that is cultivated within the ant colony, as evidenced again by they don't really tolerate Flik. He demonstrates some additional talents, and they don't care. They look down upon him. So that's their culture. That's the set of behaviors that they have doubled down on. And I think that's what leads to their rigidity in thought. It's also a monarchy, okay? So the queen is going to pass down what she knows to Princess Atta, and Princess Atta is going to do what they've always done because that's what they know how to do. The circus animals are not like that. The circus animals or insects, on the one hand, they are a little rigid in that they struggled to adapt when everything went crazy, but also they're doing some different things. And so there is a certain amount of adaptation that has to occur during the course of their act. They get heckled, right?
Right.
Okay, well, they respond to the hecklers. So I think it's that. I think I'm not going to give PT Flea credit. I don't think it's because of the strong leadership.
I don't think it's that either.
The nature of what they do requires a little bit more adaptability.
Yeah, and I think that was a good, I talked about how a big corporation, it's like the ant colony could be a really big corporation, but the circus troupe really does operate like a startup. And to me, I saw that the circus troupe had never quite, like, they'd hit success, but not the way they wanted. So they were constantly trying to chase this goal of like, what is the formula to get us to success? So they're always adapting, right? And they're trying to get to the happy audience. Whereas the ants had already achieved their goal of keeping the grasshoppers off their back by providing X amount of food every year at this cadence, and this is what we have to do to get there. So it was really interesting because in startups, people like to always talk about, we like diversity in thinking, and we like to be, quick on, like, everybody wears many, many hats. And you kind of see that with the circus troupe, right? The different characters wear different hats at different times. Whereas,
especially when they have to jump into action to actually save Dot and then themselves.
Yeah. So I just thought that was like an interesting parallel, a representation of kind of how different org structures, right? If you have like a hierarchy that's already in place versus one that's a little bit more flat, it can influence creativity and innovation and how people behave.
Would you like some trivia?
Would love some trivia.
Pixar built a bug cam. To understand what the world looks like from an insect's perspective, Pixar engineers literally built a tiny camera mounted on Lego wheels. They rolled it through grass and flower beds so animators could study how blades of grass moved, how sunlight filtered through leaves, how enormous everyday objects appeared to insects. That research became the visual language of the movie.
That is really cool.
Every ant is different. Instead of copying the same ant thousands of times, Pixar created unique ants with individual animation and behavior. Some crowd scenes contain hundreds to 1,000 independently animated ants, a major advancement in CGI at the time. I do remember this was a big deal. Toy Story was too. Pixar was a big deal in general with their animation technology. I'm going to come back to every ant is different here in a second. Actually, I guess I'm going to do it right now. So, did you watch the credits?
Okay, I did, but I was not quite paying attention because
my gosh.
Yes, yeah. I love that Pixar always does this where they throw in like fake what is that called when the outtakes, right?
The bloopers.
The bloopers, the fake blooper reels. I'm like, oh my god, they go the extra mile with these movies.
So, A Bug's Life was the first of the Pixar movies to feature the fake outtakes during the credits. I think that the outtakes they might even be as good as the movie.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not. The writing is so good. I wouldn't be surprised.
So, of course, the joke here is that this is an animated film. They're not actually actors that are flubbing their lines. There could be some flubs for the voice actors, when they're reading, but here we are seeing the characters of the movie doing, outtakes. And some of them are hilarious. There's one where Flik, he's in the big tall dandelion, and instead of his line where he just he jumps off and starts flying across the ravine, he goes to infinity and beyond, which of course is a reference
Story.
to a different movie. And then there's a scene where every ant is different, and it's what's her name? I forget the character's name, but basically now she's on the set and all the ants are cardboard and they are all the same. And she walks up to one and she goes, "So tell me, is there a Mrs. Ant at home?" And she goes to touch his arm and knocks over the cardboard cutout. And she goes, "Oh my,
So
I thought they were real. Put that thing in my car."
Funny.
And then there's another scene where, Hopper is in Princess Atta's face, and he's saying, "Are you saying I'm stupid? Do I look stupid to you?" And she just points at him and starts laughing and says, "Yes."
Yes, I did catch that one.
Oh my goodness. Hopper was almost voiced by Robert De Niro. He declined. And then, of course, there was another movie that came out about 6 weeks prior to A Bug's Life, and it was produced by DreamWorks, and it's called Ants. Mm-hmm. And that was a bit scandalous because Jeffrey Katzenberg left Disney to form DreamWorks, and, of course, took the idea. They were already working on A Bug's Life, so now that formed a little bit of a feud between DreamWorks and Pixar. Okay. Anything else that we want to cover on A Bug's Life?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything and then some. I had some ideas. Yeah.
I do love how The Rock becomes an inside joke. Flik is trying to once again, you said how what a great job Hopper did explaining through analogy, hey, if these ants figure out that there are more of them than there are of us. And so Flik is trying to do something similar with Dot and says, okay, he grabs a rock and hands it to her and says, "Pretend this is a seed." And she goes, "But it's a rock." He goes, "I know it's a rock, but pretend it's a seed." And he's trying to talk about how everything this plant needs is all built in here. And he goes through this explanation, and she goes, "But it's a rock." And so then later on, she gives him a rock kind of as a little nod to, yeah, hey, look, I understand. Here you go. This is going to make you feel better. And he's like inspired by it. And so then later on, I think was it the bugs, the circus bugs, give a rock to the princess Princess Atta, because they had witnessed this interaction and they think, oh, it must be some kind of an ant thing.
Yeah, they think ants give each other rocks.
So they give Princess Atta the rock, and she's like, "That's weird. It must be some kind of a circus thing." No lesson there, just kind of funny.
The whole movie is kind of funny. I think everybody should watch it.
Everybody should watch it. It's a great movie, but it also has some great metaphors and analogies and parallels to real life and real leadership. We've talked now enough about Michael Scott. I think we need to do an episode of The Office next.
Yeah.
And so we will see, I guess, everybody at that episode, whenever it may happen. It'll be soon, probably next week. Mariam, do you have a new nickname? Okay, well, you're going to have to come up with one, because until you do, it is Mariam, lover of strippers, and Professor G. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. We'll catch you on the next one.